Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Iron Man issue 12. And I thought this was a pretty decent issue. The biggest kind of complaint I could have for this is that it's the kind of in-between issue, pretty much setting us up for Korvac and Tony kind of going more head-to-head. As we see Tony and Colin kind of dealing with the defenses of Ta-2 and getting kind of everything set up for that scenario. So they're inside the ship, it's going off, and they're like, alright, we kind of have to deal with this. They kind of find this kind of place that shoots darts everywhere. Kind of injures Colin, but then they have to like deal with all these different kind of drones as they're like going up through this giant kind of like tube-like structure. They then come out and we see that one of the other defensives is making this weird kind of like mech thing that's able to duplicate itself, and they're kind of having a bear of a time. Tony is more having, he's less kind of like put upon with this thing because this is kind of his usual wheelhouse. Colin is trying to do everything he can with his kind of limited stuff. I mean, he's kind of like a tech Iron Man kind of thing, but he's not with the sophisticated technology that Tony's got. But Tony's able to muck around with one of them and get like thrown at the other one to kind of like get it into a state where it's like ripped apart and then starts to initiate a self-destruct sequence. They're able to like get out of there with like getting their asses singed, but they then start talking about like where Colin's from in Canada, and it's Manitoba, and he's like, I kind of would like to check that out, and of course it's freaking Colin out. And he's like, listen, yes, I'm high on morphine, but I also think that like we could pretty much die at any moment in here because of how Ta-2 is set up. And then Colin starts going into effect about this place that is kind of near polar bears, and that they have a curfew to make sure that people don't get eaten by them. And if they do see any kind of polar bears kind of break that curfew and try and get into the town, the rangers then come out and kind of put them back towards their natural habitat. And I guess it's kind of like talking about like every kind of situation you go into, there are going to be those weird kind of dangerous things that are going to be going on. Whether it's living in a town that's close to polar bears and what you have to do for that, or pretty much being in a ship that was controlled by Galactus and would be able to have access to like the power cosmic. It was kind of a neat kind of thing. Well, as they're kind of talking through with this, we then hear that there's another ship that is approaching, and it could either be Korvac or Tony's friends. So they split up. Tony's pretty much going to meet and see who it is, while Colin was pretty much tasked with trying to find a way to shut down the defense system. Tony sees that it's Korvac, and Colin is like, I hope there's like backups of these hard drives, and then just pretty much like sprays into this run room, hoping that it pretty much takes out the defensive system capabilities, which I do not blame him for doing, because if you are not well versed with a kind of technology or with how a certain system is worked out, sometimes you just got to start like breaking shit to see what will shut down and what won't. It's not an effective solution, it's not usually a smart solution, but if it's sending things that are going to kill you, you pretty much break first and ask questions later. Well, Tony pretty much confronts Korvac and is like, alright, oh, well, yeah, I got here, but I actually had, he then talks about how he pretty much met Stuntman and everything. Colin does pop up to pretty much, give Tony some backup, and Tony's kind of confused that the original Human Torch is there. He's like, what the hell's going on here? But, Colin pops up because the original Human Torch is kind of like trying to like blast Tony away, but he's like, hey, I got your number. He's like, oh, fire and ice, how poetic. And we see that Blizzard freezes Colin's legs. He's like, I could still pull the trigger. And he's like, can you? Before Korvac kills Colin. This, of course, sets off Tony, and he's able to pretty much go to Korvac. He's like, what kind of god would do that? A false one, a false idol. And he flies up to him, pretty much rips off his one arm, and then, like, I don't know what he does to it to his chest. It's really kind of strange. It's like, it kind of sticks to him, and he's, like, trying to, like, take his ass out. But the rest of his followers are able to kind of get up on him. The controller pretty much has him dead to rights. and Tony kind of passes out, and like, or was like, he's pretty much dead anyway, but like keep him alive long enough to see what's going to be going on. We shift over and see that Hellcat and the rest are pretty much trying to figure out how to get on there, and she's pretty much taken lead on the mission to kind of set him into there. And they pretty much blast in, and we see that the rest of Korvac's crew are knocked out, and that Tony is like lying down pretty much unconscious at this point. So it really sets up a kind of crazy kind of scenario, as all of our players are now on Tatu. We don't know the complete system effect for like what Colin did, and if there's still some kind of weird defenses in play. So this is going to be an interesting kind of one. Tony's not in good shape. Korvac's in not good shape. Actually, a lot of people aren't in good shape. So we'll kind of have to see how this kind of like works out, and who will eventually win out in the end on this. So I thought it was pretty decent. This definitely kind of felt more kind of filler, kind of connection-y, but I still liked to see the kind of character development as we see Tony and Colin kind of like have their kind of moments talking about what's going on, and then we see that Colin is unfortunately killed. We'll have to see with the Power Cosmic what kind of like occurs with that, if he might be brought back or whatnot, but I don't know. I was like, oh shit, I was not expecting a death right at this moment, but we'll see how this kind of works out to see how we now have both of the teams in one place and what's going to be the repercussions of this. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.